Hi, I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center, and this evening we're going to talk about chiropractic's history. We're going to delve into this just a little bit. In fact, as we talk about this, we're going to go through the ages. We're going to be talking about how chiropractic came into existence. We'll discuss a little bit about some of the individuals that were involved, but then most importantly, we're then going to discuss why has chiropractic been around for so long? And finally, I'm just going to tell you now, we may as well start with the end in mind. I want to invite you out on Monday, September 19th, to come celebrate with us at the Limerick Chiropractic Center, Chiropractic's birthday. Now, officially, it is September 18, 1895 was its birthday. And I want everybody to come out, have a piece of cake, have coffee with us, enjoy the celebration. To me, this is a wonderful profession, and with every year we should be celebrating the fact that chiropractic is in our communities, saving lives, enriching people, allowing them to live a more vitalistic life. And honestly, if you don't already know that to be true, maybe it's because you've never had your spine checked. That you don't know how broken your body has become because you haven't been maintaining it the way the body is supposed to be maintained. If that's the case, we'll invite you to make sure that you get checked and you have that opportunity here at the Limerick Chiropractic Center. Now, with that being said, a lot of times, as I talk to people about chiropractic, they oftentimes think, you know what, this is some new age thing. This has only been around for a hot moment, and in a hot moment it's going to be gone again. Well, the answer is no. In fact, oftentimes people are very, very mistaken about how far back in our history chiropractic and chiropractic-like treatments have actually existed. In fact, when we go back and we look at writings out of the Greek, out of the Chinese eras, we see way back 2700 BC through 1500 BC, mentions of chiropractic-like treatments. And that's the amazing thing. If we just stop there and recognizing that something that was utilized way back when, before drugs and medications ever existed, before surgeries ever came onto the scene, that these type of treatments were being utilized to help improve the function of individuals. It should cause us to stop and pause. Because like so many things, those natural remedies, they came without their side effects. They came without, the harmful lists of side effects that we see in the physician's desk reference, the PDR, or in the inserts that come out of, the drug bottles in the dispensaries. We don't see that, those particular products always end up with a warning sign of, let me think, death at the very end of each and every drug that's out there on the market, whether it's an over-the-counter drug or whether it's something that's prescribed by a physician. And I love the fact that when, we look to some of the great physicians like Hippocrates, 357 BC, talking about and detailing the importance of chiropractic like philosophy and treatments for the people that he taught, for the people that he cared for. It was a wonderful means by which they utilized things like chiropractic treatments in order to help their individuals stay healthy throughout their years. Now, if we look at the more recent past history of chiropractic, well, I got to introduce you to D.D. Palmer. And D.D. Palmer founded the chiropractic profession in Davenport, Iowa. And most people think, well, he just tripped into this, he fell into this. No, if you go back and you read the research and you look at the literature, D.D. Palmer was involved in many, many healing arts. And as he researched out the process of what we know today as chiropractic, it was one in which it took years in order to come to eventually be actually engaged and for the very first chiropractic adjustment to even be made. Now, As the story goes, Harvey Lillard was a janitor in the building that D.D. Palmer had worked in, and in turn he had an accident. And like many people, he had an accident and he saw an effect. Well, that effect happened to be hearing loss. That effect was one of those things that caused Harvey Lillard not to be able to live out the vitalistic life that he had before the accident. And D.D. Palmer, very simply, rendered that very first chiropractic adjustment. By taking that bone that was out of place and by pushing it towards where it's supposed to be, eliminating some of that stress and pressure on the nervous system, he was capable of allowing for that normal communication to take place, which ultimately meant that Harvey Lillard was capable of having as his hearing restored once again. Long before patients came in for, headaches and back pain and shoulder problems, oh no. Most chiropractic patients were presenting themselves for visceral problems, for stomach ailments, for allergies, for autoimmune type of problems. And it's because of the principles that chiropractic was based upon that were taught in Palmer School of Chiropractic. In fact, that school opened up in 1897. Well, because of those teachings, they understood the connection between the brain and the nervous system in every single part of the body. See, we take it for granted today. We've had microscopes, monitoring the embryos coming and forming inside of a mother's womb to the development of, the baby inside of that mother. We take it for granted that we get to see all of that. And yet, over 127 years ago, the realization of the brain creates a signal, it controls everything in the body. That was discovered, and it was determined that if it was enabled to actually act and exist the way it's supposed to, the body was going to run much smoother, much better. But when we had these bones that came out of place, which are known as subluxations, the problem is our body was not capable of functioning the way it's supposed to. And listen, like anything, as D.D. started this process, his son B.J., eventually took over and looked at the bigness of what was there. The bigness of the fact that this had that life-saving ability to help the masses. So not only did he want to continue the development of the school, but he wanted to make sure that the word got out to the community. The word got out to the nations. In fact, the Palmer family, they owned a radio station, WHO, in Davenport, Iowa. One of the commentators on that was Ronald Reagan. Hey, listen, they put the message out into the community. They wanted to educate the community so that they could know more about the healing effects that their bodies actually held within inside of them. One of the things that eventually happened was Dr. Stevens, R.W. Stevens. He was commissioned to write up what are called the 33 Principles of Chiropractic. Now, these are very special to me. In fact, in the office, most of our patients recognize as they come up to get adjusted, they walk past a poster having all of the 33 principles on there. Now, unbeknownst to them, these 33 principles, one of the reasons why they're so near and dear for me is because 28 of the 33 of those are laws of nature. That means that they're not up for argument. They're not up for debate. I'm pretty sure that, as you've had the chance of talking to a friend or a neighbor or a loved one about, chiropractic and, have you ever considered, why don't you go? And you've probably heard the same words that I've heard for once or twice, which is, oh, well, I don't believe in chiropractic. Well, you're going to forgive me. But laws of nature aren't up for debate. I don't care who we are. The moment we want to argue with gravity, I know one thing to be true. We're going to lose every time. I step off the top of my building, I think I'm going to fly away. Let me tell you, not Spider-Man, I'm not a bird, I'm not going to go up and away, not me, I'm coming straight down to the ground. And I'm pretty sure that in your world, the same thing is going to happen with you. Well, as Dr. Stevens wrote these principles, it's one of the reasons why chiropractic has been explained and is understood so well over time. Because these principles hold true whether we're 127 years ago or we're talking about today. Those laws of nature, they rule how we function, they rule how we live our lives, and in turn, they're those laws that govern not only how our body functions, but also how our body heals. So, over the years, we realized that chiropractic has remained largely unchanged. In fact, if you think about it, every couple of years, there's a whole slew of drugs and medications that just simply get taken off the market because they kill too many people. The FDA says yes, and they say, well, okay, this is safe for the American public to consume, and sooner or later, what ends up happening is, well, they kill enough people that they have to be taken off the shelf and put off to the side because you can't use that stuff anymore. The chiropractic adjustment today, regardless of the technique, has done exactly the same thing. It's found the subluxation, it's removed that bone that's out of place, it's put it back to where it's supposed to be, and that vital energy that's in each and every one of us is allowed to come from above down and then the inside out to go to absolutely every single part of our body, allowing for that proper function, just as the brain commanded it. And that's why, as a principal chiropractor, we have these conversations. We educate our patients to make sure that in the end, they know how the body works. That they know that just simply turning to a piece of medication, a pill, and sticking it in your mouth, that's not where health resides. Is it going to kill the pain? Possibly. Is it going to have side effects? Most likely. Which one? I don't know which one you're going to get. It's not if you're going to get it, it's when you're going to get it. And yet what we do know is that chiropractic adjustment, the purity of it, it puts nothing into the body, it removes no parts of the body, and therefore your body gets to be not only improved upon, but done so without having to worry about side effects or consequences. In fact, I just simply love the fact that your adjustment helps to improve the relationship between your brain and that body, eliminating that stress, improving that connection, allowing you to function more the way it's supposed to. Chiropractic has become the world's largest drugless, fastest growing healthcare profession. And I love that for our country. I love it for our community and our neighbors, and yet there's not enough people who know the simple truth. The simple truth of, listen, if you've never been checked, go get checked. I don't care whether it's in our office or an office down the street, it doesn't matter. Whether you're on the East Coast or the West Coast, you need to get checked. Because in the end, not knowing doesn't absolve you from the problems that the subluxations create inside your body. Not knowing doesn't mean that those damaging subluxations aren't creating arthritis, destroying the disc, causing the joints to wear down, and eventually causing the tissues and organs that they're connected to not to be able to work the way they're intended. And let me just say, your body doesn't care. All it knows is just like a cavity, once it's there, it only gets worse with time. Once it's there, the problem gets bigger and badder, which means that in the end, you have to build a bigger solution to that bigger problem. I don't know anybody who wants to have to deal with a bigger problem. In my world, listen, I love small, easy problems. I don't want to deal with big problems. And yet the sad thing is that the average chiropractic patient is over 50 years of age, over 600 maintenance adjustments behind schedule. And people wonder, why is it that things are so bad? Why is it that I'm so broken? See, the problem is that when we look at the safety pin cycle, it's because in the end, you've been operating like this if in fact you haven't gotten checked, if those subluxations are there. Disconnecting from how the body's supposed to be performing. I love this explanation. I use this in our office all the time. It is a simple explanation, and it's not mine. I take no credit for it whatsoever. It's how I learned about chiropractic, though, simply and easily. How the brain creates the signal, it sends it down through the spinal cord. How that body of yours takes the signal, uses it, but then sends the signal back up to the brain so the brain can figure out, well, what's the next step? And as long as that loop that connection is being maintained, that is awesome. It's wonderful. Body's going to continue functioning the way it's supposed to. But when we have that disconnect, we're in a state of disease. Not dis-ease, disease. Damaged, broken, and running downhill. And quite honestly, it's not okay. I don't think it's okay, and I would hope you don't believe it to be okay for your friends, your families, your neighbors and loved ones. Because in the end, I just know one thing. Side effects don't care who we are. Side effects don't care about what our relationship is. Side effects don't care about ages. Unfortunately, it's been documented over and over and over again. It doesn't take 100 prescriptions to kill somebody. It could only be one. Somebody doesn't have to be on the table for very long for a surgery for things to go sideways. All I know is one thing. If we're able to help that one individual never be exposed to having those type of possibilities, what a great story. What a great opportunity we have to give them that most precious gift. Just simply the opportunity of getting checked. My hope is as we, just simply, skim through the history of chiropractic, just gave you a little bit of a highlight of the history that you've learned just a little bit. That you've taken away just a little bit more knowledge about, the bigness of what it is that you're involved in. The fact that over the years, it has stood the test of time, and over the decades and centuries to come, it's going to continue to exist because it's based upon those laws of nature. Now, Monday, September 19th, we're going to be celebrating. Yes, there's going to be coffee and cake out. I'm going to invite you all to come out, celebrate with us, have a piece of coffee, have a piece of cake, have some coffee with us, sit and enjoy, and yes, 8 o'clock in the morning, it's okay to have coffee and cake on Chiropractic's birthday. Come celebrate with us. I'm Dr. Joseph Baker from the Limerick Chiropractic Center.